Is the best time, and we've got our third, final and deciding race of the day, and Craig Lowndes is the man who will lead them away on pole alongside Paul Dumbrell. What a performance this weekend from the young Victorian. And then we've got Jason Bright on the second row. Rick Kelly well placed, so too Mark Skaife, considering he got tangled up in that second reverse grid race and damage on the car. Ingall's not out of the action either and has since taken over the championship lead once again. As we wind our way back through the Mitsubishi Fuso starting grid, Stephen Richards, boy did he have some hassles in that second one. He's around the midfield position. And then there is Greg Murphy for Super Cheap Auto Racing alongside Jamie Whincup. And the big news here is there's a lot on the line for Lowndes. He is slowly creeping his way up toward the top of the championship points ladder. Never won a race, never won a round here in V8 Supercars at Winton. It's all on the line for him now, and we could have our fourth different round winner from as many rounds.
This is going to be a fascinating contest. I think we've got an interesting grid mix at the front of the field. The right kind of guys are at the right end. That was a good performance in the last race from Andrew Jones. Jason Bargwann, a frustrating conclusion for him. Western slightly setting sun is an issue here on pit straight. You can see we're looking in the direction that the drivers will look towards turn number one as they head down there, and that'll become an increasing problem over the next 46 laps.
Greg, any last minute updates?
Lee, I can tell you there's been a lot of action between Peter Wallerman at the IPO, or the sheriff for this championship, and I'll tell you more about that once we get underway.
Set to roll for race 3, third and final one here at Winton. Lowndes, Dumbrell. Dumbrell got the better start between the two, but he's on the outside heading into turn one. He should lead the field. He does for Jack Daniels Racing. How about that? The guy who has had some problematic times in V8 Supercars leads this field.
Terrific start for Paul. He jumped away beautifully, got the right amount of grip, and away he went.
Bit of ducking and diving for positions. They all want to avoid contact and any potential damage in this. Someone's gone. It's Ingall, the championship points leader.
He's hooked reverse. And is he stuck?
You just split off, mate. No failures.
Yes, he's stuck. He's down there at turn 4, and it's beached.
Rusty, give us an update, mate. What's going on?
Barry Hay.
And he is stuck.
And it's getting in deeper.
The team is watching exactly what we are.
Mate, you weren't sort of hit. There's no damage to the car other than being bogged. Being bogged, that's it. All right, mate.
He's going to have to be careful of the engine temperature here. Water without air passing through the radiator. The water temperature will go sky high. Here we go. This is exiting turn 3. We're on board here with Russell. Someone is giving him a tap from the left rear. And was it Steve Owen in the Autobahn entry, perhaps? Paul Dumbrell, Craig Lowndes, Garth Tander, Jason Bright, Rick Kelly, Mark Skaife, Mark Winterbottom, Steve Owen, Todd Kelly, Max Wilson. That's the 10.
It's the coming of age for Paul Dumbrell. This has been his best race meeting to date. And look at the quality of the field that he leads. He's brought together, and he has and enjoys this great bond and relationship with his race engineer, Pete Smith, who is the son of George Smith, a guy who worked for Peter Brock in the late 80s and early 90s. Racing heritage there for sure. And whatever they are doing in Larry Perkins' camp, it is working.
He was 7th in round 1, Adelaide, 9th round 2 in New Zealand. This is clearly his best performance so far after being 11th, third round in Western Australia. Big grin yesterday after his shootout performance and then race 1 performance. And he's running with the dogs at the moment. He's driving the car neat and straight, so a lot of pressure on him from Lowndes. He's done the fastest first sector split and indeed the fastest lap of the race so far. He's got 0.3 of a second officially at the start-finish line. There it is, that's what it looks like in reality. Tander runs with them. Bright's not quite able to maintain the gap at the moment. Remember, compulsory pit stop for tyres. 2 tyres will be taken on between laps 5 and 33. And most people will have kept their best set of tyres, if not a near new set of tyres, for this second segment of the race.
Russell Ingall's exit from the circuit has significant championship implications if Garth Tander stays where he is, because Tander will again jump right back up there, even into the top spot. They're fighting over second. Look at this. Tander and Lowndes. He pulled up alongside the 888 car, and that's given a little extra buffer for Paul Dumbrell.
And, all nose to tail there in turn 9. Steve Owen's running well there in the pack, position 8. I think there was some contact earlier in the weekend between Steve Owen and Russell Ingall as well. Fastest second sector split for Rick Kelly on this lap. They're also looking at the bumper car for James Courtney, and I think car number 18, Will Davison's car, is going to be looked at closely, just inspecting any damage. 25.8 again for Paul Dumbrell. 5.6 fastest lap, Rick Kelly. 0.4 of a second the margin.
Seeing a replay here, and who is it? It's James Courtney in the Geldwen Ford and one of the Dick Johnson cars. It looks like Will Davison.
That's the reason why both cars were being inspected by race control. Oddly enough, those two are very good friends. They were speaking as a couple of mates between races 2 and 3. The friendship could be strained a little after that one, Darryl.
Yeah, Neil, I was just about to get onto that with you. I didn't think you guys had realised what the damage had been done to those cars, as we hadn't quite got the footage there, but it was on the second last turn, the two of them come together and off into the sand trap.
So rising from the previous race, race 2, the reverse grid here this weekend, Mark Scaife and Greg Murphy has been deemed a racing incident. We believe there was also some contact with Tander and Will Davison, which created a concertina. So racing incident for that one. Paul Morris and Brad Jones, some contact between them. Neither had a case to answer. Now, Warren Luff, Jason Bargwanna and Rick Kelly, that was an interesting one. They've deemed that Rick Kelly had no case to answer or had no part in it per se, but as far as Bargwanna and Luff were concerned, they were up with Peter Wallerman, the investigating and prosecuting officer, and the team of stewards here for quite some time, and really only got back to their cars just prior to this race. What they have done is pinged Warren Luff for careless driving. Originally he was charged with reckless driving, but it was downgraded. They issued him with a 27-second penalty, so the equivalent of a pit lane penalty, and he went right down the grid. So I can also tell you that there was some more than words exchanged between Bargwanna and Luff post-race. A bit of a push and shove here in pit lane, and that matter will be investigated post this race.
Yeah, it was a bit heated down there, and Bargwanna was deeply aggrieved by Warren Luff rattling on the rear bumper of that car at turn 8. Fastest lap of the race, Craig Lowndes, 25.3. He's applying pressure now to Paul Dumbrell. Garth Tander will peel out and take his compulsory stop on this lap. Matt Nilsson's been on the radio. He feels he's being held up. They want to try and get clear air. Lowndes is on the charge. Now the temperatures and pressures are normalising in tyres. Everybody starts to get a feel for what they've got. Campbell Little peels Craig Lowndes out of the pack when they come out of turn 11 this time. He wants him to pit now. He feels he's being held.
Okay.
For so many years, Lowndes was known as the kid, and he's chasing the guy who was the youngest ever to drive a V8 supercar. Paul Dumbrell first jumped in one at 16 years and 11 months. And watch Lowndes here, he'll peel off to the left.
Now he needs to get a good clean entry. Make sure that he's at the 40 Ks.
To the blue mark in the box, which will bring you 2 feet forward of the mark. Turn off your CPS light, HRT RN, so it's going to be a tight swing. Stop on the mark.
And that exposes Dumbrell to Garth Tander, who has got some speed, that's for sure. Bright's tagging onto the back of that. There's Rick Kelly, Mark Scaife and Steve Owen in a top 6 position. Fabulous performance.
25.1 for Tander and Marcus Marshall with a bit of dust from the back of the car. They obviously decided not to bring GT in and avoid this congestion. And in fact, it could have even been a dummy call.
Okay, mate, way you go. Pit lane is clear. Watch your pit speed.
The radios are monitored by all the key teams. They know what each other are doing. They're not permitted to use scrambled or digital radios in V8 supercar racing, as they do sometimes in Formula 1. So Dumbrell still leads, but now it's Garth Tander.
Pit now, mate. Pit.
So that's Matty Nilsson's voice. want him in this time. I wonder, often they leave the ultimate call to the driver, and he can override if he feels there's an opportunity to make a gain. Even if it's only 1/10 of a second, it can make the difference, Lee.
Watch this.
Oh, they're both in. Oh, careful, GT.
Oh. There were many drivers pinged for speeding in pit lane, exceeding the pit lane speed limit earlier in the weekend.
CPS light off, jacks to 2.
This is good because they're not too far apart. There's several garages apart.
Not these guys, 6-4 seconds. 6-4 seconds.
This is no competition for $50,000. This is for a championship. This is a real pit stop challenge.
We'll see how accurately they both calibrated their pit lane speed limiters. And this is pressure on the crew. Rears only for Dumbrell. Jack Daniels' team have been very good this year, and so have the Toll HSV dealer team. Traffic to negotiate.
Wait, go.
Had to wait for the 888 car, and they come out as they were.
So Wincup released, and he chases Tander and Dumbrell out. So good work by both the Perkins crew and the Toll team.
Jason Richards, 7th at the moment, 24.8, fastest lap of the race. He's sandwiched between Greg Murphy and Steve Johnson.
And has a point to prove that he can get up there in the regular races, not just the reverse grid race.
Bright and Kelly now, so just keep your head down.
Bright leads the way. Rick Kelly second on the road. Look at this scrap here. Wincup has just come back out on track. And Lee Holdsworth hassling him. Scaife is third. Owen is fourth. Stephen Richards fifth. Murphy, then Jason Richards, Johnson, Canto, and McConville the 10.
Race control monitoring damage to Dean Canto's car, number 34 as well. They take a look at that. Rick Kelly's in the lead. Steve Owen is second. It's been a good outing for him so far. Stephen Richards, Greg Murphy, Jason Richards. Craig Lowndes has done the best split to Sector 2 of 55.9. Bright's in. Great stop. And looking for the lights. See the lights up on the boom there so that the car controller knows when to drop the car. Oh, tight at turn 1 between Bright and Lowndes. They make contact. And Bright holds his ground, but does he hang on for turn 3? Lowndes is up the inside, and the 888 man has got track position. Lowndes through.
You'll see in the background too, Dumbrell. So Lowndes with a better run after his stop. Dumbrell is now back in the order. Can Bright run with Craig Lowndes is the question.
Critical moment in this motor race.
Lowndes is the round leader. Here's the Zinger replay. Good stuff from the Ford men.
Carbon copy of what the two Kellys were up to yesterday. Awkward moment when two guys arrive in the same spot of real estate down there, but Craig was patient, waited for the moment to get a better corner exit speed from turn 2, shot it up the inside, got the job done before turn 3.
The view from Lowndes, better electrical Ford.
Has a glimpse in the mirror just to check where Jason is.
Mate, good work. We've just got to watch what we're going to have with Kelly, so keep your head down.
They're in 5th gear, just on 222 kilometres an hour. With the 3.7 to 1 diff and gearing they have in the cars when they're at 7,500 revs at the end of the front straight. Detailed several times this weekend how tight this racetrack is and how patient you must be.
And as
Mark Scaife is 18th at the moment, sorry Lee.
Last shot showed you, Dumbrell lost several positions, not only to Lowndes and Bright, but to this man, Mark Scaife, and also Mark Winterbottom. Then it's Dumbrell, then it's Tander, then Todd Kelly, then Jamie Wincup.
Fastest lap of the race, Garth Tander, a 1:24.4. He's 21st at the moment.
Couple of quick updates for you guys. Paul Morris is now out of the vent. He's just gone into the pit garage. There's a engine loss of power. That car had a bit of a rattle in the top end. And Marcus Marshall, really disappointed. He had contact with someone out on the circuit that's got severe damage to the front left-hand suspension. Rick Kelly now in the pits, and and he's closely followed by Stephen Richards.
Let's keep an eye on this too, and Murphy comes to a standstill. That looks like on pit lane entry, and his day goes from bad to worse. But where will Rick Kelly come out in the mix? The leaders are at the top end of the circuit.
Richo.
That's Richo serviced, and here goes Rick Kelly. Now let's look and see where the other men are. He's going to be right in the mix, Rick Kelly. There he is, pops out behind Scaife.
And Eric Pender was just mentioning to him, be careful, there's a lot of traffic when you insert back in. And Winterbottom's up the inside, and I think Mark will get through on Rick. He's done that, yes.
Ahead of his teammate, ahead of Dumbrell. Tander's trying to make quick work of Dumbrell, and he does so. Squeezes through on the inside.
Steve Owen is the new leader of the race, yet to take his compulsory pit stop from Jason Richards, Cam McConville, John Bow, Paul Radisich, Dean Canto, Jones boys, Brad and Andrew, then James Courtney, Will Davis, and that's the 10.
The defending team's champion is Stone Brothers Racing. The top team for 2006, however, are these boys, the men in orange and black, the Toll HSV dealer team. Both drivers in the top 3 in the championship. And they look solid, don't they? Fast and difficult to beat. Always reliable.
Greg Murphy still on the radio, just describing to his engineering group the problems he's got in the pit lane. You'll see him, there he is in the background. And he said that there's a bit of smoke lurking around there at the moment, so he's starting to get a bit concerned. It could be a fire in the airbox area. But as you can well see, he's probably going to leap out of the car. He had the presence of mind to take it off to the left-hand side of the pit lane in, just so he didn't disturb other competitors. It's been a shocker of a weekend for Greg.
Well, it's been a shocker of a year, hasn't it? He has really had to endure some frustrating times. Look at this train here. Rick Kelly, Garth Tander, Paul Dumbrell, then Todd Kelly, then Stephen Richards. Meanwhile, at the top of the order, as far as on track right now is concerned, Steve Owen leads the race over Jason Richards, Cam McConville, but these boys yet to pit, so too John Bow and Paul Radisich. Greg?
You may have heard Kevin May, the car controller at Triple Eight, talking about Craig Lowndes and asking him to pull up on the blue spots. I want to show you what that means. This yellow tape that has been marked out in the Triple Eight pit area here, underneath their gantry for the pit stops, that's the area that they want Craig to pull up in ordinarily in the pit stop. Down here, in a perfect world, Craig would pull up with his wheel in line with this yellow stripe, but with the pit lane congested, remember that HRT just behind them were in at the same time. What Triple Eight do is they buy themselves about an extra foot or foot and a half of space, so Craig pulls up on this blue marker instead, and as you'd expect with a pro like Lowndes, the stop was done to perfection, so too for the team.
Greg Murphy's problems continue this weekend, a disappointing run for that team, but he had, for this race, Cam McConville's engine in from Friday. They thought initially the problems with that engine were electrical. Now Greg Murphy stranded out on the circuit and out of the car, so more engine troubles for them.
To update you earlier on progress of Russell Ingall after being a lap down and shoved off the track, he's back in 28th position. Not where he needs to be after starting this race, the leader.
Greg just trying to get the safety pins away from the bonnet, and when you give it a big feed of oxygen, often that encourages the flames. But good news was that the rescue crew were on the job there, intervening. I've said this many times at events over the years, we've got tremendous official support at V8 Supercar and many other motor races around Australia, representatives from various car clubs.
And while we're in the break, there was some radio conversation between his race engineer, Wally Story, and himself, saying, okay, car's good, we're going to leave you out there right till the end of the compulsory pit stop window, which is lap 33. And McConville in the Super Cheap Auto Commodore continuing the comeback trial after just a tough start to the weekend.
Jason Richards' engineer, Wally Story, is playing percentages at the moment, hoping that there could be a safety car intervention, something that happens on the racetrack that will give them the opportunity to make a net gain on this field. At the moment, they lead by 6.8 seconds in car number 3, but there's about 40 seconds to burn taking a compulsory stop and getting in and out of the pit lane, and they know that they'll cascade down the order if they take it now. If they play percentage, there's a slim chance that it might play into their hands, but it's a slim chance over there.
And here's the tug of war to be the best Ford man. Bright Lowndes.
Jason's been very strong all weekend in the middle sector of the racetrack. Everywhere through turn 5, 6, 7, and then those northern U-turns 7, 8, 9 has been pretty strong. But Craig matches him quite well here through turns 11 and 12. And he's always been very strong through turn 1 and 2 here, right in this spot. He's got an almost unique talent in the way in which he approaches it. He turns in quite early, he sneaks up on the curb a little bit. Craig's mid-corner speed when we used to test here was always tremendous. But from about here, Jason starts to sneak at him. Campbell has been on the radio just counselling Craig. Drive smooth. Look at the green boxes. 2.5 tenths of a second have been made in 3 laps by Jason Bright. And he's particularly good here from the exit of turn 5 all up through the northern turns. So he took a chunk out of him there. Craig elected to use the ripple strip. Jason didn't. That car of Craig's, from a damping standpoint, certainly handles those curbs very well. Looking down the order a little bit, 8th and 9th, Rick Kelly, Toll HSV dealer team cars. Kelly Tander, Dumbrell is 10th, who didn't fare well in the pit stop shuffle. Remember, he led early. He's there or thereabouts, but probably hoped for more in this one.
Look at this. This is a great scrap between the teammates. Rick Kelly, Garth Tander and Paul Dumbrell is still very much in the mix. Through went the 2 Ford men, then Scaife, then Winterbottom, then it's the 2 Toll guys and Dumbrell. And they are all tied on the same points at the moment at 250 each. It's the tie for 4th in the round. Who will come out on top?
All those cars that you can hear in the background on the 7,500 RPM rev limit are all in 5th gear, going past our commentary point right on the braking approach to turn 1. And the cars have burnt some fuel away now. They'll have started with about 80 kilograms of fuel, about 100 litres. Less than that, in fact, in terms of weight. But the track's rubbered up. They've got still reasonable tyre condition. They're burning some weight out of the car, so putting in some pretty quick lap times in some cases, Greg.
Well, James Courtney's first visit to Winton has certainly been a tough one. James, this team, the Stone Brothers, is renowned for their engine strength, but there seems to be a problem here.
Yeah, we just dropped a cylinder half a lap after pitting, so we lost a...
Boys are telling him to fire it up here just for one quick second. I think they want to double check a few things. Yep, sorry, keep going.
Yeah, we just lost a cylinder half a lap after pitting, and it's a little bit unusual. We had an engine go last time, and then this now. It's just it's not like Stone Brothers, and the guys are probably beating themselves up about it.
Always looking forward to Darwin down here by the sounds of it.
That is the next round on our list. And speaking about upcoming rounds, just a quick reminder to you that the tickets are now on sale for the Super Cheap Auto Bathurst 1000, for the Ferodo Tasmania Challenge at Symmons Plains, and of course the grand finale at Phillip Island. The tickets are now on sale. Don't miss out, and you can grab them via ticketek.com.au, and of course all your information as per usual on the website v8supercars.com.au. So those 3 big events toward the end of the year, the tickets are now on sale.
We get a lot of positive feedback from viewers about these onboard shots with Mark foot cam, which demonstrates the foot skill of motor racing, particularly around here. That's vitally important. He's currently negotiating turn 8, 2nd gear, just on 70 odd Ks through here, accelerating out in 2nd, using the clutch, just minimising wheel spin as he gets to 3rd gear, then 4th. He taps the brake to make sure he's got brake pressure for turn 10. This is 2nd gear again, upshifting at 128 Ks, then to 3rd, 152 Ks into 4th, back down to 2nd. Turns 11 and 12, back to about 120 kilometres an hour in here in 2nd gear, and then this is the fastest straight at Winton, not terribly fast in V8 supercar terms, just on 220 kilometres an hour, in fact a fraction more. Back to 3rd gear, a lot of brake pressure there for Mark. He had an extra stab at the pedal to get the nose in. and then gently progresses the throttle, third, fourth gear, back to second. Just modulating the brake pedal, using the brake to partially steer the car as well. Fourth gear on the run into turn 5 in the middle, 185k approach. Sort of hovering around the 140 to 150 k's here. You actually grow your speed a little in the second part of the corner before slowing it right down again to 70 k's here for turn 7.
Skate maintains his position behind Bright, ahead of Winterbottom, and still our top 3 on track. Jason Richards, Cam McConville, Paul Radisich yet to pit.
You may be curious about the speed in each gear with this particular diff ratio, which is the shortest of the diff ratios. Jason Richards now comes in. In fact, Wally decided not to run him to the full edge of the window. First gear to second gear change, 99 kilometres an hour. Second to third gear change, 128. Third to fourth, 152. Pretty good stop, 4 seconds. Fourth to fifth, 187 k's, and then fifth to sixth is 222 k's, and they don't use sixth gear around here, but if they did, and if it did run out of breath, they'd be doing 253 kilometres per hour.
It's just amazing the way these teams work, Neil. Todd Kelly is ahead of the rejoining Jason Richards. Just moments ago, we were in the Holden Racing Team garage. They were, you know, all of them very, very intently looking at the laptops, and Matthew Crawford, his engineer, was already updating Todd more than a half a lap ago. He's saying, look, hey, we think Jason Richards is going to pit this lap, and he should pop out just behind you. You should be in front of him. The calculation's spot on.
Not a bad recovery, though, for Jace. He's in the top 10. They have shown good car speed this weekend. That first race mistake when he tangled up initially with Craig Lowndes and then later with Stephen Richards has proved costly, but winner of race 2. His best lap so far has been a 24.7.
Now, if you're saying why is Paul Dumbrell suddenly with his teammate Stephen Richards, he spun top end of the circuit. And here is the Zinger replay. This shows us that's just the tail end of it. Off at turn 11, comes back on. Oh, maybe a slight contact there from his teammate Stevie Richards. And then they begin the drag race.
Did he spin or just run wide down at turn 11?
I think it looked like he just ran wide.
Yeah, I think he's just gone out in the gravel down there. A spin would have cost him more time. He may not have the tyre condition or the balance at this phase of the race than some of those around him, but he's still in front of Stephen. Russell Ingall, incidentally, will come in shortly for his spot. Sorry, I'm just listening to what Russell's saying about his car. Here he is, he's in. They're arguing about what he ought to do with the rear roll centre, and because he's got so much of everything, he's got so much understeer and so much oversteer, he's not sure which way to go with the roll centre. He said, either way, if I make an adjustment, I'm going to be shot. He said he's tried everything he can with the anti-roll bar controls in the car.
Said that the problem that they're struggling with, in his opinion,
23 laps to go, Rusty, 23.
in this car this year, it's not very good through slow corner stuff. Very good on high-speed corners like turn 8 at Adelaide, or say, for instance, Eastern Creek's turn 1. All the high-speed stuff it's good at. Slow corners, it's not working for them this year.
James rejoins. Just goes to show how quickly things can change in V8 supercar racing. We know the strength and the pedigree of Stone Brothers and the success that they've had over a long period of time with a variety of drivers, and they've been the prominent Ford team. They must have, and of course they're clearly not going to tell us, but they must have just evolved the car in some way that perhaps Queensland Raceway telegraphs to them that, yes, that's an improvement. It'll be a structural change or some philosophy with shock absorbers or whatever it may be. And it's just hurt them a little. It won't be much, but it's just enough to be giving them grief at certain tracks and certain, as you said, Lee, certain corners where, you know, in the low, medium speed stuff, they're hurting at the moment, and it's knocking them around. Darryl?
Well, now I'm down here with Wally's story. Wally, you've had a fantastic car this weekend. It's had great speed. Obviously, race 1 was a disappointment.
Yeah, obviously. It sort of was a bit of a heartbreaker, wasn't it? Mind you, we're sort of... That's motor racing a bit, Darryl, isn't it? Like, sometimes it doesn't go the way you want. We had high hopes because it is our home track, and we always want to perform well on your home track, don't you? But, yeah, sometimes the cards don't fall the way you want, but obviously the car's going very well at the moment, so we've got good car speed, we just not turned into track position necessarily.
Is that now going to go from here to the Northern Territory? The car seems pretty quick.
We had a good car there last year, so I think there's a reasonable chance we'll still be all right there. It's sort of this place would favour us better, but we had a good car there, so I think we'll be all right. We might not win, but we'll be all right.
Thanks, Wally.
Mind you, everybody thinks that.
Thank you.
I just had a word to Paul Forgy, engineer for Marcus Ambrose, who's now stateside, of course, contesting NASCAR, and these days looking after James Courtney. They tell me the problem for the 4 car was injector related, so they've managed to fix that, and James's car sounding good when it returned to the circuit. Also, Russell Ingall debating the whole way down pit lane with his engineer Barry Hay about whether they should make a change to the 1 car. In the end, they talked right up until he virtually pulled up on the spot and hear about whether they should go up in that rear roll centre. They made no adjustment to the car. Tyre change only for Ingall.
And Greg mentioned Marcus Ambrose there. He did race in the United States in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series overnight. He finished 26th.
Yeah, between turns 11 and 12 that time, Jason had a look up the inside of Stephen, but the truth of the matter is that at Winton there's really only 1.5 spots to pass. Here it is. He got not far enough up. He crossed up Richo in the process, and fortunately Jason backed out of it so that it didn't turn into a bigger mess. Remember, those two got together yesterday. The point being that you really can't pass anybody at turn 12. There's only 1.5 spots, as I said. One of them is, the half spot is up into turn 7, maybe.
Whoa.
And the other one is down into turn 11. So Jason needs to concentrate on a good exit out of turn 10, which is the next one he'll negotiate, and then try and sneak down the inside at 11, or crisscross him maybe, because Richo will go to the the dusty side of the road here, and that would be the only opportunity to maybe sneak up in the short chute between turns 11 and 12. Oh, Stevens out-braked himself slightly. Here we go, crisscross. It's on. He did it. But you can thank Stephen for just making a little mistake there and allowing it to happen.
And Whincup's in the mix. Look at this. After finishing 25th in the first race, Wincup has come back strong. He's on the outside into turn 1 of Stephen Richards. And this has been a strong performance from Jamie Wincup. He was penalised in the first race, had to come in for a drive-through penalty. From memory, it was a mechanical black flag for some damage on his car. The Zinger replay, turn 12, Jason gets Stephen Richards.
He had the rear bumper hanging from the car, so they had to address that and then send it back out, removed from the car, and then that pretty well dictates what's going to happen for the rest of the weekend. Yeah. If you've got car speed, it's about this second half of the third race where you start to bob up again, but obviously you're going to be severely disabled for race 1 and out of business completely for race 2 often.
Whoa, an anxious moment there for race leader Craig Lowndes.
He's just got the left rear tyre on the wrong side of that ripple strip that we saw in the background there, and he's just run along the dirt. Probably looked worse than it was. In the car he wouldn't feel too much. Campbell and the better electrical crew will be sitting there just biting their nails, though, when they see stuff like that. Crews don't react well when they see their cars sideways and rocks coming up from the back. The rooster tail is okay on a motocross bike, not a V8 supercar.
As the sun sets in the west here at Winton, there has been a 2-degree temperature variance. When we kicked off this race, the ambient was 19, the track temperature 21. It's dropped to 17 ambient. On track, it's 19. Just want to quickly update to Todd Kelly. He's been on the radio complaining of a slightly numb right foot, and his engineer, Matthew Crawford, says that's not related to any sort of injury of his. They don't know what might be the problem there. He had a little bit of gastro last week, and he's not at full fitness, though. That was the only message from the team.
Yeah, I heard him complaining about that on the radio before, but there's certainly not much the boys can do about that one. Here he is here with pressure at the moment. Turn 7, he's got Dumbrell looking at them. Larry Perkins looking on. Campbell Little, meantime, on the radio telling Craig to adjust the anti-roll bars in that car to just trim it. And so whatever you do, drive it straight, which is the reference to the little thing that they saw as he exited turn 2 before, because once he slides the car, it quickly hits the rear tyres. They don't like that kind of scuffing on the road and that sort of stress. Often it's not a wear problem. They have 4 millimetres of tread depth in the tyre. They'll be okay for wear, but there's something about them. They don't like to be constantly slid across the road.
Points for this round. And if it stays as is, I said at the beginning of this race, will be the 4th different round winner of the year. Last year we went 5. It has been an incredibly competitive 2006 season. Bright, well, he perhaps feels he should have been the winner of this round. And Richards lines up Paul Dumbrell, turn 3. Can't quite do it.
Jason drinks from the cup of optimism. He tries to just blaze on. You cannot fault him for determination. Sometimes just got to be a little bit careful where you poke the nose of one of these cars, because when you're fully grip limited under brakes or fully grip limited in the turn, you can't really change the direction of the car easily. Sometimes when you're so committed and you think, oh, I can't undo this, and that's when the trouble starts. Remember, we saw a tremendous performance from him at Sandown and Bathurst last year, and he knows he's got a good car, and I haven't spoken to him since race 1. I saw him just before race 1 after the great job in qualifying. He was very optimistic, so I know that he'll be frustrated.
There's a bit of an intimidation as well, as one of the Fujitsu Fords at Brightech is back in the garage. A bit of an intimidation. See if the guy, you know, just try your hand at bluffing him.
Oh, absolutely. The more that you can confuse the guy in front, the better off you are. But you've just got to make sure that you stay focused on the fact that they're around this track. There's really only a couple of places to pass. And when you're an established star, you've won a heap of races, you've won championships, you've won Bathurst, it's easier to play a game of high risk, low yield, because you don't have to prove as much. But when you're still trying to prove your way in the business, you've got to reverse that. You've got to play low risk, high yield. And that's the thing that it's often very difficult with the younger guys when they're massively enthusiastic and fully determined. You know, they've spent their entire careers being told by everyone around them, and certainly telling themselves to push, push, push. And if you drive anything less than 100%, then you're not fair dinkum. The trick with this category is to recognise that you've got to be at 100% all the time. But you also need to know how to try and get the most out of these cars when the grip's going away and when the opportunities are marginal. Because the way the series is structured with the reverse grid race and with the way the points are allocated, it absolutely rewards finishing and consistency. Russell Ingall demonstrated that last year, and if you really interrogate the point score this year, Lee, and look carefully, the lessons are there again this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of that, Rick Kelly, Garth Tander are fighting each other, the teammates, for the lead of this championship. Russell Ingall has been removed, courtesy of that off-track excursion. So it's the two teammates.
14 laps to go, Vargs. Good effort, mate. Keep pushing.
Jamie Wadham talking with Jason Bargwanna. And finally, Paul Radicic has come in for his compulsory pit stop, and that does put Craig Lowndes at the top of the timing order from Jason Bright, Mark Skaife, Mark Winterbottom, Rick Kelly, Garth Tander 5 and 6, Todd Kelly 7, and then it's Dumbrell 8, Richards, Jason and Stephen.
Apologies, Lee. Winterbottom just shuffled back a couple of spots there. Last lap through, he was in front of both Rick and Garth. Now he's behind them. There he is. So he must have made a little mistake, or perhaps someone just rattled on his rear bumper a little. Here we go.
He'll tell us.
So I think he actually just got up there a little bit too quick and outbraked himself slightly, it seemed, and then just ran wide. That gave the opportunity for both the Toll HSV dealer team cars to get under.
Watch how quickly Garth pounces on this.
The reason why, guys, is that Mark Winterbottom has a gearbox problem. He has lost 4th gear. I've just walked out of the Ford Performance Racing pit bunker. Remember, this young guy has been consistently putting the points in the bank in recent rounds, so there's a bit of disappointment there, but at the same time, huge optimism for a great weekend for Jason Bright.
I need to go and find out more about what's going on in gearbox land about these 4th gear issues. That's 3 times for Todd Kelly and once now for Mark Winterbottom. There'll be more to that story.
And here's a story. Greg touched on it earlier involving Jason Bargwanna and Warren Luff. We've got some vision for you here post-race 2. There's Bargwanna with the WPS race suit on. Watch this. They're going to have words and it gets heated. Okay? I didn't like being tapped, not once, not twice, but 3 times. And then the Brightech boys get involved. And some members of the WPS crew, and they were a little hot.
And there's going to be further investigation on that one. And they did penalise Warren Love for careless driving, banging on the back of Jason Bargwanna's car. up at turn 8, and then it went on the approach to turn 9. Rick Kelly I spoke to, and he was immediately behind them. He didn't think there was any apparent reason for Warren starting to knock onto the back of the WPS car. All of a sudden he must have decided he wanted to try and hustle by.
Nice work, mate. Nice work.
Well, guys, I'm in the car here with Warren Love. You just saw that footage there. Can you run us through it and your thoughts on what happened with Jason Bargwanna?
Yeah, look, obviously we had the altercation there in race 2, and we had to go to the weigh scales up there, and Jason came down and wanted to express a pretty strong viewpoint there, and look, it got into a bit of push and shove, which is obviously not the right thing that we should have been doing, but he was pretty hot under the collar, so when pushed, of course, you're going to push back.
What about the incident on the track with the car, you know, what was happening on the circuit?
Yeah, look, it unfortunately didn't go our way with the ITO. I'm still maintaining that Jason slowed coming out of 7 on the run down to 8. We've got data to verify it. So it was very disappointing because we showed a pretty strong case and showed our data, but unfortunately it didn't go our way.
Disappointing for you now. It seems like you've broken an axle and the boys are trying to fix it to get you back out.
Yeah, it's very disappointing. The whole Fujitsu team were having a great weekend, and just down the back straight there, I've just gone to grab 4th gear and the car broke an axle, so it's very disappointing, but the guys will get it fixed, and we'll get back out and finish the race.
Go and get some points, Luffy.
Thanks, mate.
Warren Love, who of course drives for Brightech in the Fujitsu Ford, which is Jason Bright's team. Bright was, of course, the race 1 winner yesterday. If he were to snatch this one away from Lowndes, it wouldn't really matter. Lowndes would still take the round victory. And that's a good scrap for the closing few laps. So too is this. Todd Kelly, Paul Dumbrell, Jason Richards, Stephen Richards and Jamie Wincup. 5 cars going hard at it. And just behind this group is Autobahn Racing Steve Owen. He's headed for a personal best this year, finishing in 12th if he can stay there. This is his home test track as well. So solid performance. You remember how the year started for this poor guy? He passed out, wasn't feeling too well, needed to go to the hospital. It's quite dramatic scenes at the Clipsal 500 in Adelaide. What a way to respond just 3 rounds later.
Very good driver, Steve Owen. He showed some great form over the years in cars that were not top shelf cars at Bathurst, and he came to the attention of lots of people in the pit lane, pit paddock for those performances, and now given a decent car, he's showing that he's got some speed.
And his team owner, Rod Nash, said, I believe it's all about consistency. The kids had no consistency. He's been in this ride, out of that ride, just an endurance ride. He said, we are aiming to give him consistency, so he has got a platform to build on. And so far, so good. Gee, Todd Kelly's under some pressure here. There is nothing between these guys.
Kelly's got a steering drama apparently at the moment. Remember, there was big damage on the front of that car. It's bent the rail, incidentally, as Jamie Wincup gets up the inside of Stephen Richards.
That's a nice move, smart move.
So it's bent a front chassis rail on the number 22 HRT car, so more surgery required before Darwin. Oh, yes, done. You always worry, because if the other guy doesn't see you and turns in, then that's when all the trouble unfolds.
And Neil, the feeling or the sensation that Todd Kelly is getting, he's reporting back to the team, it feels loose in the steering rack, So obviously perhaps not, full of confidence at the moment, given that car's status.
Gap is still the same at the front after they cross the start-finish line. Still 0.4 of a second between Bright and Lowndes. But look at this angry bunch. Wincup wants a bit of this action. Can he do anything about Jason Richards? And then take a go at Todd Kelly.
Move here up the inside. Jason Richards gets it done at 3.
Now Wincup lines up for a shot as well. So often happens.
Yeah, you can't afford to have a little niggling drama like Todd's got.
I can't steer it, it's everywhere. The call from Todd Kelly.
Must have a mind of its own in the steering rack for some reason. It'll be as a result of the damage and a lot of work being done to try and get the car just out on the circuit, let alone make it fast, and nothing you can do about it at the moment. He's being monstered by everyone.
This is Steve Owen, he's up in the mix. Now shadows Stephen Richards. This will be a pleasing result for Roland Dane and Triple Eight Racing. He's got one guy leading the race, and his second driver, Jamie Wincup, has come from finishing 25th in the first race to be in the top 10 at weekend's end. Nice work.
Some coaching going on at the moment too with Campbell Little just you know, relaying to Craig how many laps are left to run in this race. I've been to both Ford Performance Racing and Triple Eight. Remember that Lowndes pitted relatively early in this race. Campbell Little looked at me a moment ago, and, you know, the intimation I got was that the rear tyres aren't completely happy at the moment. Bright braked later by contrast, and they feel that he may be in a position to challenge on the run to the finish here, but they're leaving that up to Jason. Todd Kelly is on his way into the lane.
Yes, I was just about to add there, Greg, that he thinks he's got a flat tyre and he's coming in for them to check it. So that could be the root cause of his problems.
Final handful of laps.
This gap's narrowed. Look at it. He's on him. He's right on him.
And will Bright go for the win? You bet. Here's Todd Kelly and the HRT men ready.
Yeah, looking at it, just put it on and go.
Left front tyre.
Put on the brake side.
So when they put the rattle gun on there,
whoa,
it's making metal. Or has it chewed up one of the wheel weights on the inside of the rim? Can't really see what the material is.
Okay.
Anyway.
And he will exit right near these guys.
This is going to be trouble here, boys. Unfortunately for Todd Kelly, we might be able to get a shot of it over towards the officials right near pit exit. You can see, possibly, we're hoping we can get this to you, Todd Kelly's wheel nut. There it is. So that is the wheel nut. It is fired out of pit lane, across the fast lane and over towards the pit wall there. There will undoubtedly be a penalty for that.
Wow, right in front of the V8 Supercar official, Kurt Saksuski. Mark Horsburgh, the photographer, quick on the scene.
Yeah, he's
there. It is.
Shot for the yearbook there. Right on, Johnny on the spot. If you're going to fire a wheel nut off, you need to do it at the other end so Kurt can't see it.
Back at the front though, closing laps. Scaife maintains his third. That's a great recovery, but look at this. On the scene comes the two orange and black men. Rick Kelly, Garth Tander.
Here's a shot. Pit lane drive-through penalty for Todd Kelly, car number 22, for a pit lane infringement.
He is having a horrible year, isn't he?
You feel sorry for the young guy. He's shown some great speed. He was very strong at the Foster's Australian Grand Prix V8 Supercar support events. He was strong at the Clipsal 500. But, the tide's gone out for him.
Neil, I'm not sure what the shot looked like or how much it showed on the wheel nut itself, but the actual teeth on that captive wheel nut, which go inside the rim, broke, obviously under pressure with the rattle gun, and the actual remainder, the nut itself, fired across the lane. That's what's happened there. And the fingers.
What I would have been seeing is the fingers on the ground. We saw a shot,
Correct.
and I thought it may have been machining something inside the rim or around the hub or the brake caliper, but in fact, you're right. What it is, it's the fingers, the back of the wheel nut.
You will have seen on the Zinger replay, Lowndes running wide at the top of the circuit and Bright thinking about it, thought twice, stayed out of it, didn't cause contact between he and Lowndes, and continues the chase. Kelly comes in for his drive-through. And Lowndes made the radio call to his race engineer, Campbell. How many laps? The pressure is on.
But he has been told the point scenario, and he's in good shape for the round win.
You can let a race win go by if you're going to win the round, and that is the position that Craig Lowndes is in.
To reiterate there, Craig Lowndes for this round, 302 points whilst they're in this current position. Jason Bright has 276. 266 is shared by Rick Kelly and Garth Tander. Mark Scaife has 264.
So the closing couple. Can Bright do anything? Will he make a charge? Is he lining him up?
Lowndes just trying to decide how defensive he needs to be or what he might need to do to try and maintain a win here. He's already got one win under his belt this season, one race win that is. He has not won a round yet, as Lee has pointed out several times. Right for a new round winner, it seems. Oh, here we go. It's on here between Mark Scaife, Rick Kelly and Garth Tander. So those guys have caught up a little on Mark, so he must be losing a bit of rear tyre condition.
Final lap and a half here at Winton. The return to Winton. We're in Shanghai, China this time last year.
Last lap for Garth Tander of this group of cars was considerably quicker, half a second quicker than Mark Scaife. And so he's the fastest of them, but He's behind Rick. Mark is the slowest of, or was the slowest of the three on that particular lap. But he's got track position and he'll defend vigorously, no doubt. There they are in the background as the leaders exit turn 10. The other boys are up.
You got one to go, Craig.
One more to go, mate. One more to go.
One to go. Oh, he's run wide.
Concentrate. It's the problem with getting involved in radio chat sometimes in braking areas. And right now it doesn't matter. He's just got to run to the flag.
Final circuit.
Last lap.
He's nervous, as you would be. Less than 3 kilometres from a race win and a round win for Craig Lowndes. He's got to make it tidy out of turn 2. Bright's on him. See, Jason's got the big wide NASCAR-style rear vision mirror in the car so that he's got good external peripheral vision from the back of that car.
Plenty of cheers from the crowd. They love Lowndes. And he has driven exceptionally well this weekend. He kicked the first practice session off, the 2-hour one on Friday, in fine style, being fastest, and has gone on with it from there. Couldn't quite match Bright in the opening race. Did very well. Some good heads-up driving in the reverse grid race in the second. And has been under some pretty intense pressure here, but he's handled it very well.
Oh, righty. He just got it up on the ripple strip on the exit and it kicked sideways.
That happened on the lap before too, in exactly the same spot, but not to the same extent. 2 corners to go for Craig Lowndes, and he will pick up his first ever race and round win here at Winton. Bridie's giving it everything he's got, but it's not enough. And it will be Ford's second round victory for 2006. Lowndes wins Winton as a first for everything.
Nice work, mate. Nice work. Hard work.
And that's now on the resume. Good stuff.
I don't know, it looked like we had more understeer than anything.
And the Holden men come on home.
I think you're going to go round and you have to go to
Scaife
the
gets
old
there ahead of
finish line.
Rick Kelly, Garth Tander. That will make the championship point scenario very interesting. And a very solid weekend for Ford Performance Racing. And Jason Bright saying, thanks, fellas, it was a good car.
Come on, Roland.
But it's all about this guy. Craig Lowndes. McConville comes home ahead of Radicic for a top 15 finish. And considering he started at the back of the field at the beginning of the weekend, well done, Cam McConville. The VB scoreboard shows us the end results. And what a solid performance too for Paul Dumbrell, finishing in 7th behind Mark Winterbottom, and Stephen Richards breaking into the top 10 behind Jamie Whincup. But it's all about Lowndes. We'll hear from him, Bridie and the rest of the gang when we come back.
Welcome back to Winton Motor Raceway, and we say well done to all the fans of V8 Supercar here in Northern Victoria and just across the border in New South Wales. 61,734 of you here this weekend. That is an increase of 24,500 on our last visit to Winton Motor Raceway. In 3rd place for this round of the championship, give a nice welcome to Rick Kelly from the HSV Toll Dealer Team. What an unbelievable weekend. Great that you're on the podium and you were tied with your teammate in points terms. What separated it was your finishing position in that last race.
Yeah, absolutely. And last time we were at Winton, I was actually getting held back here, but it's good to come up on the podium at Winton. We weren't expecting it, but thanks to all the guys and the guys back at the workshop who do all their bits and pieces and engine guys. Thanks a lot for your support.
Let him take his 3rd place on the dice. Well done to Rick Kelly. In 2nd place, a pole position for this round and a race win. It's delighted the Ford Performance Racing team. Give it up for Jason Bright. You pushed hard towards the end there and you contemplated it, didn't you?
Oh, mate, it was, we had a good car this weekend and, it's disappointing we had the trouble in the second race there because we had good pace and would have been good to start off the front row.
There he is, the 2002 round winner, pole sitter for this round, reigning lap record holder at this venue. Well done on 2nd place. He's won a great many things in his time in V8 Supercar. This is a first, though, at Winton. Well done to Craig Lowndes. What a weekend at Winton. Nice for the Triple Eight team.
Well, it's great for the team. They work pretty hard and, to Ford and Better Electrical and all the people have come out to Winton. I know it's been a bit of a dry spell. We haven't come back here for a couple of years, but it's been fantastic. So It's, yeah, got rid of the hoodoo and the voodoo off me. I've never had a really good result here, but, you know, to Levi and Chili at home, hello, and, yeah, it's fantastic.
Enjoy that top step on the dice and that champagne. That's the podium for Winton.
Fabulous performance, wasn't it, from Craig Lowndes? Super stuff, and so too to Jason Bright. There's a lot to take from this round for Ford Performance Racing because a very strong performance from both he and his teammate. Time to celebrate. It's Ford's day today, and Rick Kelly, Holden's representative on the podium.
And just 0.39 of a second separated first from second when they actually got to the line. Here's the confirmation of the round points. Craig Lowndes, 302. Jason Bright, 276, so all Ford at the front. Garth Tander, Rick Kelly, Mark Scaife, Paul Dumbrell, Mark Winterbottom, Steve Owen. In fact, it really should have read Rick Kelly in third place, shouldn't it? And then Jamie Whincup, Jason Richards coming away with 188 points in 12th position. So not a bad recovery, but probably not what he'd hoped for. Interesting that Jason Bright did the fastest lap of the race on lap 13 to 1:24.1. So they certainly had car speed in that car, and probably great news for Craig and his crew, but particularly Craig, who's come here for many years, tested here lap after lap and never really found success. But for this weekend, he gets what he's been looking for.
Let's take a look at the championship points as Lowndes kisses the trophy and celebrates. We've had a pretty dramatic change. Russell Ingall has gone from top to 5th. And look at that, the Toll HSV dealer team not only lead the team's championship, they lead the drivers' championship as well, with Garth Tander, Rick Kelly at the top, and Lowndes, today's winner, in 3rd overall. And Scaife now penetrates the top 10 as well. It's a pretty interesting look. Today was a big day, and look at Greg Murphy, certainly well down the order. All in all, what did you make of today? They weren't stunning races, were they?
No,
but interesting.
A terrific pressure race, that third race. The reverse grid race certainly grew a lot of emotion in this pit paddock, and time will tell as to what people think and feel about all that. But another exciting event here at Winton, as we've seen over the years.